figures from yesterday.
That's right. Unemployment increased for the 19th month in a row here in France, and the unemployment rate is now at 10.7%. According to Le Figaro, the right-leaning newspaper, unemployment is the big fear of 2013. And inside Le Figaro, it points out that on top of that, growth forecasts are close to zero. So France is in an extremely fragile situation economically and socially. François Hollande, the president, has warned that times are going to be tough. Le Figaro says it's probably going to be really tough for the president as well. He's likely to pay the price by taking a plunge in opinion polls. The Figaro offers one solution to boost growth and avoid harsh austerity measures, and that's for Hollande to stop what they call obsessing, or trying to push forward his campaign promise to bring public deficit to 3% of GDP. And it's surprising that Libération, which is usually, which is a right-leaning newspaper and usually in favor of reducing the deficit, it's surprising that they say that he should let go of this challenge. But I think they think it's okay because the IMF has said that 3% is actually out of reach during the current crisis, and 3.5% would be more realistic.
Now, some of the papers are taking a more positive approach, looking at those workers who are actually trying to save or keep their jobs, essentially.
That's right. Here's the Christian newspaper La Croix that looks at how some regions are resisting the progression of unemployment, and they look particularly at Brittany and the Loire region. Meanwhile, Libération, the left-leaning newspaper, has a special report inside France's redundancy plans. And basically, they sent reporters across the country to big factories that are either struggling or closing down, and met with what they call these fighting workers. To quote one that said, "We're dying in silence." Now, the main problem here is France's waning industrial sector, and Libération points out that in a way we're seeing the second death of France's industrial sector. The first wave of death came 30 years ago with the deindustrialization in the north and northeast of France.
And speaking of that industrial crisis, one factory in particular, the Florange steel plant in northern France, getting a lot of attention from the press in the last while.
That's right. The ArcelorMittal plant has been getting a lot of attention, especially for the perceived way that the government struck a deal with ArcelorMittal to save the plant. A lot of people say that the government bungled this plan. Now, yesterday, one of the leaders of one of the trade unions at Florange, a certain Edouard Martin, he wrote an open letter to François Hollande in Républicain Lorrain, which is a local paper in the north. And he outlined what he calls the lies and the absurdity of the Florange deal that the government struck with ArcelorMittal. And he says, "We're fighting for our future, and we want to tell you the truth, what's really going on here."
So the outlook bleak for France, but one paper, the Business Daily, looked at what it's like in other countries.
That's right. It seems like the picture is slightly rosier in other parts of the world. Les Echos looks at billionaires who made a fortune in mining. Now, according to Les Echos, this is due to the fact that the price of raw natural resources has been going up for 15 years, and a lot of people have hit the jackpot by mining gold, copper, etc. Now, according to Les Echos, they're Russian, Brazilian, Asian, and Australian, and Les Echos profile several of them, including the Australian mining tycoon Gina Rinehart, who is the world's most famous woman, according to Forbes. And you might remember her because she's quite a controversial
Not just for
figure.
Her business ventures.
She, according to Les Echos, has quite a loud mouth. She said that people who are jealous of her should spend less time drinking or smoking and more time working. Bear in mind, though, that she did inherit most of her fortune, rather.
And we will end on a positive note, of course, with just a few days to go to the new year. Le Parisien is taking a look at what has improved in 2012, if anything did.
That's right. Well, Le Parisien says that 2012 was a year of discoveries, inventions, and progress. Now, they're focusing mainly on science, health, and technology. So some of the highlights include a 9-year-old American girl named Emma who had leukemia but was saved when doctors injected her with what they call a light version of HIV. There was also the discovery of the Higgs boson, or the God particle. Now, I'm not going to try to explain to you what that is. NASA's Curiosity rover exploring Mars. And my personal favorite was Felix Baumgartner's record-breaking skydive jump. He jumped from 39 kilometers in the air. He broke the sound barrier, and he made it down to Earth in just 9 minutes and 3 seconds.
I've skydived but never achieved something like that. Thanks, Florence, for that latest update on the French newspapers. Do stay tuned to France 24.